In this video, we're going to take your Apple Notes from this to this. Hi, my name is Nikki. I post about all things making your tech aesthetic and organized, and that is what we're going to do to your Apple Notes. I have 27 different ways for you to make it cute and also make it not chaotic, and tips and tricks along the way to help you keep it that way. I think this video is going to be especially helpful for anyone who uses Apple Notes for school or for work or even just in their day-to-day life. Really anyone who uses Apple Notes. So if you're completely new to Apple Notes, then you'll be able to follow along just fine. And if you are a more advanced user, you might know some of these, but I do still think you'll find this video helpful. And with that, definitely subscribe and stick around if you like content like this, and let's jump right in. So a really fun way you can decorate your Apple Notes is to add a banner. So here's an example of what that could look like. You could put any cute little image you want. You could make it match the theme of the note. But to add an image, all you're gonna do is tap into your notes and then tap this little paperclip icon and then choose photo or video. So you could just choose your image from here and then tap the check mark. And then that's how you add an image. My second tip for you, and this one is really good for organization, is to use smart folders. So a smart folder is a folder that automatically organizes your notes for you using tags. So instead of manually sorting your notes into different folders, you can just add a tag inside each note and then it will automatically sort it for you. So here's an example of what a tag looks like. You type it the same way you type a hashtag, and be sure not to include any spaces in it. And then also remember to press space once you're done typing. So here is an example, and then type the space, and then that will ensure that Apple Notes recognizes it as a tag. And you can also type it anywhere into your notes. You don't have to put it anywhere special. And then to find all of your notes that have been sorted by tags, just go back to your main Apple Notes page, and then you should have a tag section at the bottom. So just go ahead and tap on the tag that you want, and then all of your notes with that tag will appear here. This next tip is going to help you find important notes a lot easier, and this one is to pin your notes. So this basically means that you can have a note pinned to the top of your notes list, so that way it's more accessible and you can reach it a lot faster. So to do this, just tap into any note and then tap the three dots at the top, and then just tap on pin note. And then once you go back to your notes page, you can see that that note is pinned right here at the top. So my next tip is to create a main dashboard note. And this is basically going to act like your home page within Notes. Or if you've ever seen like Notion users that have a main dashboard, this is kind of like the equivalent of that. So this note is going to be like your go-to for any quick links or anything important that you want easily accessible. You can put like reminders in here. This is also a really good note to pin as well. My next tip for you is to use tables to organize data and other complex information, and this is going to make it look a lot neater as opposed to just having things in like a giant list. So here's a little example of what a table would look like, and then you can add a table by just tapping inside your note and then tap this little grid icon here, and then you can just start typing inside the grid. You can also tap on a different rectangle and type there, and then you can customize the rows and columns by tapping the three dots on either side. So we can add a column, and then we can do the same thing over here. And then you can go back to that menu to delete rows and columns as well. Okay, my next tip is really good for if you use Apple Notes to take notes like for school or for work, or if you just really like highlighting things, but this tip is to make a color highlight system. Not only does this look really pretty and make your notes look really organized and cohesive, it's going to make it a lot quicker and easier to identify pieces of information, and just kind of if you need to scan your notes quickly, you kind of know what's what. But for example, you could have things in a yellow highlight be important. You could have things in a pink highlight be for personal. Green can be completed, or really whatever system you want. So here's a little example of some highlights right here. And to highlight something, you're just going to double tap it and then tap this little icon right here on the menu with the pencil. And then you could tap it again to bring up this little menu here, and here you could choose the color. So I'm gonna tap on mint and then just tap out of it, and then we have a pretty mint little highlight. So the next tip is to add Apple Notes as a widget to your homepage. So Apple Notes looks really cute as a widget, and this also makes it really accessible. I love having things that I access really often just right there on my homepage. So to do that, you're gonna long press on your home screen and then tap this icon here in the upper left corner and go to add widget and then search up notes and tap it. And then from here we have some different sizes and varieties. We can display a whole list of our notes. We can also just display one note at a time. So I'm just gonna do this one for now and then tap the check mark. And then if we tap on it, it'll bring us right to Apple Notes. You can also choose which folder you want to be taken to when you tap the widget. So you can do that by long pressing on it and then going to edit widget and then tap where it says notes. And then from here, you could just tap your folder. And if you want to display a specific note in the widget is going to automatically display whatever note you edited last. So if you want to display a specific note, just go into Apple Notes, edit that note, and then the widget should automatically update and display it. Next is a really fun little thing you can do in Apple Notes, and that is to add monospaced text. Here's an example of what that looks like on my screen. But to do monospaced text, we're just going to type and then double tap to highlight. And then in the menu, you're gonna tap the A icon right here. It's the format button. And then down here, you're gonna scroll to the right and then tap on mono-styled. Next, I'm going to show you how to link to a note within a different Apple Note. So to make a link, you're just going to tap this symbol twice. And then from here, it's going to bring up this little menu. And then you can just tap on the note that you want to link to and then check mark. And then you can just tap on it and it'll take you right to that note. So next is more of an idea, but this one is to use images in fun and creative ways. So for example, you could make a little scrapbook or a little mood board like right here. You could add in little like outfit collages. So here's an example of a little travel outfit planner. So I added a little cute outfit collage underneath one of the days, but there's a lot of fun things you could do to really make your notes look so cute. This is also really good to make your notes feel very personalized. A really fun way you can make your journal in Apple Notes feel more personalized is to add a little date stamp. So this is really simple. What I mean by that is literally just at the top where it says 3.4.26. I like this because it makes your journal feel very soft and personalized. But yeah, just a fun little thing I like to do and thought I would share. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is a blank journal entry template that I have here in Apple Notes. And then what you would do here is every time you want to add a new journal entry, you could just duplicate this note and then fill it in. And then to duplicate a note, you're just going to go back to your notes list and then long press on it and then duplicate note. Another fun little thing you can do in your notes is to add a quote at the top. So you can see here that I have "make today a good day" and I have it highlighted in pink. And of course you can add styling like highlighting, you can monospace it, you can add little emojis around it and just make it look really cute. And I just think this is really fun to have at the top of your notes where you can see it all the time. This is something that's going to make your notes look a lot neater if you have a lot of long bulleted lists in your notes. And this one is to use collapsible sections. So to do this, make a list in your notes and then highlight the heading of that list. And then you're going to want to have it formatted as either title, heading, or subheading, just so Apple Notes knows that everything underneath that is within that list. And then once you do that, you're going to see this little gray arrow pointing down on the left side of the heading. So if you just tap that, it's going to hide the list, and then if you tap it again, it's going to show it. My next little tip for you is one that's going to help keep your notes very cohesive and also very aesthetic. And this is to have a note personality or a theme or a color theme. So there are a ton of different really cute theme ideas that you could do. So in this note, I have everything green and the emojis are all little plants or the green heart. You could have the entire note be lowercase or use monospacing or highlights or really a bunch of different things as long as you're using kind of the same styling throughout the entire note. Next thing you're going to do is add an end cap. And what I mean by this is, so I have this cute little morning routine note here, and then the end cap is at the bottom where it says morning routine complete. So if you feel like your notes just kind of end very suddenly, you can add a little end cap, and this just gives it a very soft and intentional kind of ending. And yeah, I added a cute little emoji here, and this is just another cute and simple thing that I like to do that I wanted to share. Okay, next, and this is one of my favorites, but we are going to use fun dividers. So here's a really good example with the dots, and I just love how visually cohesive this looks. Here's another example with the heart and then the line and then the heart on the other side, and then the one with the bows down below. And then here are a couple more ideas. You could do this with symbols or emojis, and yeah, just have fun and make them really, really cute. So if you use notes to store more sensitive information like passwords, or if you're using it as like a journal that you want to make sure stays private, you can actually lock and hide specific notes. So to lock a note, go into it and then tap the dots and then just tap on lock. And then you're going to have this menu come up where it's going to let you lock a note with your iPhone passcode, or you can also create a separate password for locked notes. Did you know that you can copy and paste aesthetic fonts directly into your Apple Notes? I think this is such a fun way to add personality into your notes, and up where it says travel planner, that is an example of what that could look like. So when I do this, I usually just Google aesthetic font generator or aesthetic font copy and paste, and then you'll find a bunch of these different websites. And then I like this one a lot. So let's just type something in here, and then we can scroll through this little menu here. And then I think this one is really cute. So from here, you would just copy and paste this directly into your notes. Another really fun idea is to match your Apple Notes to your iPhone theme. So I'll put up a picture of what this could look like, but here I have everything pink themed basically, and I just think this is really cute to make everything feel nice and uniform, and it kind of makes your notes feel like an extension of your home screen. This is another really simple tip to help your notes look more clean and aesthetic and just overall more calm. And for this one, you're just going to add extra spacing. So I think this note is a really good example where basically I have a space in between each line, and this is just going to help prevent things from looking really cluttered. So if you are really into designing and personalizing and customizing your Apple Notes, which if you're watching this video, I think there's a pretty good chance that you are, a really helpful thing you can do for yourself is to create a digital design kit. So this is basically a note that just holds your most commonly used design elements. So if you have banners that you are constantly using over and over, or certain dividers that you like to use a lot, you're going to keep them all in this note. And then anytime you want to use them, you're just going to come here and copy and paste it. And this is going to save you so much time instead of having to go and search for these elements whenever you want to use them. And there are a bunch of different things that you can keep in here. You can add banners, dividers, emoji combos, different headers, different template blocks, really anything that you use a lot and is able to be copied and pasted. And yeah, definitely recommend doing this one if you're someone that likes to personalize your notes and wants to save a lot of time. And these are really fun to add a little bit of motion into your notes and just kind of bring it to life. And then same thing as before, we're going to tap into our note and then tap this paperclip and then choose photo or video. For these last couple tips, we're going to go into our iPhone settings because there are a couple customizations we can do to Apple Notes within settings. So to access that, you're just going to go to settings, apps, and then notes. And this first one is called sort notes by. And what this does is basically lets you choose the order in which your notes appear in a folder. So you can sort them by date edited, date created. You can sort them by the title. So once you're on the screen in your settings, you're just going to scroll down until you see viewing and then sort notes by. And then right now I have it set to date edited, but you can choose any of these depending on what works best for you. This next one in this same little section here is called New Notes Start With, and this basically lets you choose whether or not you want a note to begin with a title or with the body text. So to customize that, you're just going to tap on it, and then you could choose from these options here, and then these are all of the formats that you can choose how you want your opening text for each note to be formatted. Right below it, we have something called sort checked items, and this one lets you customize what happens to an item in a checklist after you mark it complete. So basically you can choose whether checked items stay in place or move to the bottom of the list. So if you like to keep your checklists looking very neat and have all of your checked items at the bottom of the list, this is going to help you do that. So all you're going to do is just tap on it, and then if you do want to have checked items moved to the bottom of the list, you're just going to tap on automatically. This next setting only appears when your iPhone is in dark mode. So once you're in dark mode, underneath this same viewing section here, you're gonna see a customization called Notes Backgrounds, and then you can just tap on it. And what this is gonna do is let you customize whether the backgrounds of your notes are in light mode or dark mode. So that tip customizes all of your notes backgrounds at once. But if you wanna customize your notes backgrounds individually, then you're just gonna go into a note and then tap the three dots, and then you can tap on where it says use light background. And then when you're in light mode and you go back to that setting, it'll say use dark background. And those are all the Apple Notes tips and tricks I have for you today. I really hope this helped you and that it made your Apple Notes workflow a little easier, and also helped you to make it more aesthetic, because I feel like when our tech and our workspaces are more aesthetic, then it's more fun to use and encourages us to use them more. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll go ahead and see you in my next video.